This week on The Startup Life.
You want to think to yourself, what stories have actually happened in my business that I can flip into a piece for video. So the best successful videos are ones that are kind of those videos that you see based on a true story.
All right, Startup Nation. So let's take flight with David Feinman, co-founder of Flixation. The Startup Life begins now.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hey, Startup Nation. Do you enjoy the startup life? Now you can let the world know with gear from the show. Choose from the Label Yourself, Make Your Own Luck, and Making Money t-shirts to tell your story of your path of entrepreneurship. Click the link in the show notes to purchase. All right, Startup Nation. So I hope you're ready to receive some value today. We have David Feinman from Flixation. How is it going, David?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Did I pronounce that right? Flixation?
Flixation. That's the name of the company.
All righty. Nailed it, man. So you ready to pour some knowledge in the Startup Nation today?
I'm ready for it. Let's do it.
Awesome. So let's get started. So first things first, man, what's your story on your path of entrepreneurship? And tell us a little bit about Flixation and your company.
My path to entrepreneurship really started early on in life. I started my first business when I was 16 years old. Originally dating back there, had a business partner, grew a company. Into college, had another business that I worked on. Did that for a bit, and ultimately kind of led to after college starting Viral Ideas and Flixation. My current two businesses with my business partner Zach, kind of taking that really entrepreneurial step since I was younger.
So you're there. Flixation is based out of Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, so we're based out of Philly. If you know the area, we're actually based right in Manayunk, which is right in the city.
Gotcha. Okay, so give us an idea of what the entrepreneurial landscape is there in Philly.
Oh, it's awesome. Within Philly, there's a lot of great companies coming out of here. We have a great startup support system through an organization called Philly Startup Leaders, which if you're ever down here, just reach out to them. They have such a great network. What's great about Philly is it's a small enough city where if you kind of get to meet that startup entrepreneurial folks within the city, everyone kind of knows everyone. So
right.
It's a nice, really supportive network here over in Philly compared to New York, which is much bigger and vast.
So you mentioned, man, that your path to entrepreneurship started when you were 16 with your buddy Zach, man. So tell us a little bit about that. What was that first business idea you came up with?
Yeah, so I mean, Zach and I weren't business partners from the start. I actually started my first business with someone I knew from actually elementary school.
Oh, okay.
And the business was a half marathon. So we put on an event back when we were in high school. It was called the Bucks County Half Marathon, and it was really my first start at running a business. Really didn't know anything about it. Just know that from a start, my thing was always, I was obsessed with customer experience. So my obsession with that started back in high school. Really through that event and through that company, we created what we thought was the greatest customer experience for runners. And the two of us, me and that business partner, went on to start a race when we were in college called the Zombie Run, which was a purely experience-based company. And we created this basically zombie-themed experience for runners where it was a blast. Like, so runners, we would dress people up as zombies, and we'd have runners with flag football belts around their waist. And the whole thing was set up like a Hollywood apocalypse. So the whole thing was just an experience from start to finish.
Gotcha. Let's dive into that a little bit more, if you would, David. Like you talked about being obsessed with the customer experience. Why is that important to you, and how do you use that in your new endeavor, Flixation?
Yeah, so I think in any business, and it's my belief that fundamentally a lot of businesses sell the same product or service packaged in a different way.
Gotcha.
And if you look, I mean, take a look at the big guys, right? Like if you look at Amazon versus Walmart, fundamentally they sell a lot of the same products.
For
right?
sure.
But both of them were giant warehouses where you could practically buy anything you want. But the customer experience through Amazon is fundamentally different than the customer experience at Walmart. And if you look at the two of them competing head to head, there's no contest. Amazon's winning, right?
Right,
And,
right, for sure.
If you scale that down to much more smaller ventures like the one that I run, the customer experience of Flixation, which is an on-demand video editing platform, the end product is video editing, right? But the customer experience that we deliver, we believe is far superior than that of the competition. So that to me is what customer experience is. It's not just a matter of the actual product. It's how does someone interact with that product from start to finish through a business?
Got you. Thank you for sharing that, because I think, and I wanted to dive into that, David, a little bit, because I think that's one of those pieces that new entrepreneurs miss, that really looking at your business from that customer's point of view, from that customer's experience. So I'm really glad you pointed that out. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you this, man. So when you talk about that half marathon business, man, what are some things you learned from there that you now kind of apply to Flixation?
So I learned a lot about what I like to consider proactive customer support. So like, obviously kind of the theme of this is really customer experience, and kind of from my perspective, like, where I'm taking this is that whole thing. So what I mean by proactive customer support is doing the things that your customers need, but in a way that services their needs before they actually need. So like, good communication with a client might not actually be getting on a phone call. It might be providing them something up front that they can use for themselves. So back at the half marathon, we would have people, we had a no refund policy, right? So the policy was we would never give a refund. And then we had a couple people from the military email us and we're like, hey, we're being deployed soon. Like, can you guys refund us our ticket? But in the fine print it said no refund. But of course we're gonna like help out the troops and help out people that are real humans. So I learned a lot about people that like through customer experience, learning about everyone has their version of the interaction. So as a business, you have to kind of look at your own business through their eyes and what they're going through. So that way you can better shape the customer experience to mold into everyone's individual needs.
Let me ask you this, man. What did you learn from the worst boss you've ever had?
Worst boss?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's actually a tough question. I mean, I really the only jobs I really had were really prior to 16, where when I kind of worked some odd jobs, like I was lifeguarding, and I was kind of lucky. I mean, I really only had one bad boss, and the one thing I learned from that boss was you really have to put your people on the front line perspective into your decision making, because I think too often bosses get the pressure from their bosses, right?
No, for sure. It rolls downhill. Absolutely.
It rolls downhill, but really stuff should roll uphill, because people on the front lines kind of know what's going on and have a way more unique perspective than those at the top.
That's an interesting point.
Trying to look at the numbers, and sometimes it's not all about numbers. So I actually remember getting fired from a job, and I remember saying to the boss, I was like, you're wrong, and this is not how it really should be done. And of course, I got fired, but
Gotcha.
It didn't really matter much to me. So
for sure, it looks like it was all for the best, for sure. But you bring up an interesting point, David, and I'm glad you pointed that up. Like you said, it should roll uphill, because I think a lot of times, just like you said, that a lot of times, like you're sitting on that perch, sitting in that C-suite, if you will, and sometimes either you don't know or maybe you forget what it's like on the front lines, what it's like to be the face of the company that you're representing. So I'm glad you pointed that out. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you this, man. When we talk about Flixation, very awesome video editing company that you created. How do you get the word out there that you're here to help people with those video editing needs? Is it social media, word of mouth? What works best for you?
So we do a lot, actually. So it's a combination of regular old sales, right? So we do we have a team that does outreach. Our primary target is video production companies, or those with an internal video team. We locate those companies and just give them a little ping, let them know what we're all about. So that one-to-one interaction. And then we run a lot of Facebook ads that work really well. And integrate directly with the chat on our website, so people can chat with us about about our product in real time. And we make a promise to answer any chat requests in under an hour so people can hear from us relatively quickly. So all that, Google ads, we do, referrals are big for us. So we're still kind of learning the scalability of the process for ourselves, but those are the channels that we're doing, and it worked pretty well for us so far.
So, entrepreneurs, they're always consider themselves, David, lifelong learners, always learning, always doing professional development, whether through read books, podcasts, whatever the case may be. As an entrepreneur, what do you see as professional development? What are you learning now?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think a lot of people. I think there was a stat that I read that it was like 70% of people who graduate college will never read one more book in their lifetime.
Gotcha.
And that kind of shook me up a little bit because there's so much out there in the world to learn. And it's not just about business topics. You can learn about anything that you could take back and relate to your business. So for me, I mean, I read. I'm more of an audiobook guy. I'm on the road a lot, so I try to like double up my time on the road with either an audiobook or a podcast. And then I usually read some articles and industry papers or like Quora answers. I love to read like once or twice a day. I like sit down and read. So I'm really spending like probably an hour or two at least a day listening to new material and like consuming various pieces of content that I feel as though would impact my business.
Awesome. I hope you caught that, Startup Nation. That's one of the things David just said. There's always room for improvement. There's always room to learn. And so as an entrepreneur, that continuous, method of learning should be very much indoctrinated into your, day-to-day process or just your general path of entrepreneurship. So I appreciate you sharing that, David. I really do.
If I could just add one more thing to that too.
Absolutely.
Is I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we get caught up in our own little worlds, and you could be naturally curious and learn from virtually anyone. Like, don't discount the guy that you walk by on the street that might be homeless. Don't discount a conversation you might have with him where you can learn something from him or her. Everyone in this world has something to teach you, and it's just a matter of like sitting down with someone and really soaking in their lessons. So it's not just about listening to the podcast with the guy that's worth $1 billion. It's about really listening to everyone and learning different nuggets from them and how that might translate to your business.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that, David. I remember in high school, my ROTC instructor would always tell me, you can learn something from the homeless person, even if it's not to be homeless. So you're absolutely right about that. I appreciate you sharing that. Let me ask you this, man. In this day and age when we have like rising costs in education and tuition and stuff like that, people are starting to kind of rethink their higher learning institution models or whatever the case may be, as far as like, if they get a degree or not a degree. Because some people say that in order to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to have like a formal degree, do some networking. Some people just say you need work ethic and a dream. So David, where do you stand on that?
It's tough to give any advice, but I can just share my own personal anecdote. I mean,
absolutely.
I did 2 years of community college and I did 2 years of college. And what I learned in school was how to be with people, right? And how to interact with different types of people. In my school, I went to Temple University, really awesome, diverse school with people from all over the world. So I learned a lot from just being with the individuals there. Physical classes, there's a couple of them that were great, but for the most part, I've learned more reading all the books that I've read than actually sitting in a classroom. So I think it's just about soaking up the knowledge where you need the knowledge. I don't think you need school to have an education, or maybe you might. Like maybe that's how you learn, but it depends on the situation. I think
depends on the situation, depends on the person, right?
Exactly. Some people learn a lot from school. I just didn't happen to be one of them.
For sure. Let me ask you this, man, and we'll wrap this up right before we go to break real quick. What does the average day look like from top to bottom, from sun up to sundown? What does your day look like? Be specific as possible.
That's great. So usually I get up. I'm a pretty early riser, so I usually get up somewhere in like the 6 o'clock neighborhood, 5:30 neighborhood.
Okay.
I'm training for an Ironman right now, so
nice.
I usually knock out hour and a half workout in the morning, and then have breakfast, and then really just get to work for the rest of the day. And every single day is different, right? A lot of times I'm at clients' offices. Really just I spend the focus on my day trying to either acquire new customers or work with our existing customers to help them succeed. So it's one of those two combinations, as well as work with the teams a bit as well. So that's pretty much my day every single day. I don't believe in like I think there's a lot of notion that you have to work 100-hour weeks to be successful in entrepreneurship, and
Right.
you have to work a lot. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like you're working your typical 40-hour week. It's a lot longer than that. But
Sure.
I think there's too much out there saying like you have to hustle and always be on. I think there's a lot to be said for taking some time to yourself and just reflecting on your business. Like, I think I get the best ideas when I'm on my bike riding and not thinking about anything else than actually sitting there working on the business.
Thank you for sharing that. First of all, that work-life balance, like you're pointing out, is very important, to the entrepreneur. So I'm glad you pointed that out. And then also when you said that, that you get some of your best ideas from taking a break, man, you're absolutely right. I think me and my wife, we take trips all the time, and we think we do our best, thinking when we're just kind of like, not necessarily completely zoned out, because you can't zone out while you're driving, but but like when we're just sitting there and not really like super focused on the business, but you're kind of thinking outside of the business. And we always call it, working on the business as opposed to working in the business, because that's two very distinct differences between the two. So we're gonna go ahead and go to break. How you like being on the Startup Life so far, man?
Oh, hey, it's awesome. I'm enjoying this.
All right, Startup Nation. So I hope you're getting great value from David's content, but we got to pay some bills. Once again, my name is Dominic Lawson, and you're listening to The Startup Life. Hey business owner, the Startup Life reach is growing. Wouldn't you like your business to grow with it? Reach out to us to advertise on the Startup Life. You can reach us at 901-857-4818, or you can email me at dominic@askalsolutions.com. I mean, don't get me wrong, like this is a great music to have break on, but wouldn't this break sound a lot better with the same music but your business being advertised on it? If you are a teacher looking for great resources, look no further than our Teaching with Al section of our website. Enjoy great lessons such as our mini lesson for the story of an hour, or dive into the Nixon presidency as part of our legacy series. Enjoy great peace of mind from our units as they are Common Core aligned. Click the link in the show notes to purchase. All right, Startup Nation. So let's continue. So David, man, quick question. So I was on your website and I see that, you have some things that you promise to your customers, like, that 24/7 live chat, the standardized pricing, direct chat with in-house editors, stuff like that. But I think the one thing that really stood out was that 5-day business turnaround. Right. Why is that important to you to get that turnaround to your customer, David?
I think in any business, I mean, especially for ours, people are up against deadlines, especially with video editing. If they need to edit it, you need it for something. You're not just editing to edit. Mm-hmm. So it's important for us to just promise a standard, a standard turnaround to just give our clients an idea of how it's going to fit into their workflow. So we take that pretty seriously over here, and we built systems out that allow us to do that.
Let me ask you this, man. Have you ever, started working with a client, right? You kind of in that consultative phase, and you're doing your fact finding and your customer exploration, if you will, to try to see if they're a good fit. And then you get to a point where you realize they're not a good fit for you as a client. Have you ever experienced that? And how do you determine if somebody's a good fit or not?
Absolutely. Yeah, we all the time. I mean, we get a lot of leads a day, and a lot of them don't close. Partly because they're not right for the business, and that's fine. Not everyone shops. We're talking about Amazon, or some people shop at Walmart, some people shop at Amazon. People have their preferences. So for us, we determine someone's a good fit when there's kind of like a mutual respect, whether spoken or unspoken, right? Like they're respecting the work that we're doing for them, and we're handling the work for them in a way that makes sense for them. So it's got to fit into what they're doing. That's why we prefer to work with either an in-house video team or a video production company a lot of times, because it's just what fits our model.
So I checked out some of your videos, which are awesome, by the way. I just want to point that out. But I was curious about, because I checked out, I think it was called Junk Luggers. I think that's one of them. And
yeah.
The other one is like a fitness gym or something like that. Forgive me, the name escapes me right now.
CrossFit gym.
CrossFit gym. Yes, sorry about that. But I was checking them out, and I think you guys do a really good job of helping those businesses help tell their stories. And so I'm curious about, how do you help those brands, not only tell their story, but also reach their target audience? Because I think that's important for what you do and for other entrepreneurs out there who are just starting out.
So I'll break it down as simply as I can for you guys, so you can think about it. So when you're thinking about creating a story, you want to think to yourself, what stories have actually happened in my business that I can flip into a piece for video. So the best successful videos are ones that are kind of those videos that you see based on a true story. So you're not really making much up. You're not like making up a story, anything crazy, but you want to kind of base it off of something that actually happens within the business, because then you'll hit on your customers' pain points, or you'll hit on something that might get them excited about a product, or something that might entertain them. If you can have something that's already happening in your business successfully, that's grounded in reality. And the second part, how you get it out there is, we're finding the best place to release a video right now is on Facebook. Despite all that you might hear in the news about Facebook, Facebook's a huge social network, and it's as far reaching as they come. And even if you're not advertising on Facebook, they got Instagram. Even if you're not advertising on Instagram, you have the audience network. Believe it or not, a ton of people watch, play games on their iPhone, and you can advertise right in those games through Facebook ad network. So we're seeing a lot of success just kind of dropping videos through that Facebook targeting network in any way, shape, or form.
David, what's the number one thing new entrepreneurs miss when it comes to marketing? Like, what's one of those misconceptions that they either don't understand, don't get right, or they just simply miss when they're trying to market their company?
I'll take it back to the experience phase.
Okay.
So, and maybe I'll relate it to our company. So when we think about growing a business, we think about it in a few phases. So the first is people, product, support, scale. So in that order. So first you got to get your people right, you got to get your product right, you got to get your support right, then you can scale up, and then you can start going after customers. So I think the biggest thing people think when they're thinking about marketing is out of the gate they're gonna try to run scalable marketing campaigns, when, to be frank, their company's not ready to go there. The biggest thing I see people getting wrong is just when they're trying to make that initial marketing piece, they're trying to make something that is made for scale, when in reality they just need to get their first 50, 100 customers, and then at that point go ahead, scale that business up. But I think you got to hold those first couple customers close. Learn what marketing actually is to your business, right? Once you understand those customers, marketing becomes really, really easy, right? Once you understand them, you know exactly what to do when you understand your customers. And then from there, scale on up. There's a million and one ways to do that.
Got you. Thank you for sharing that. I hope you caught that, Startup Nation. Don't focus on the grand slam. Just get the base hit for right now.
Exactly. So the whole book 0 to 1 is perfect for that. You just gotta take that thing from nothing to just one customer, and you'll be smooth sailing.
Awesome. And Startup Nation, we have that link to that book that he just mentioned there in the show notes for easy access, if that's something you're interested in. I appreciate you sharing that with our audience there, Dave. I really do. Let me ask you this, man. And I know your competitors may be listening, so you don't have to go into all the special sauce. But a lot of times when entrepreneurs start a service-based business, kind of like yours, they have that issue of not knowing how to price their time or their efforts, whatever the case may be. So how did you determine, what was the right price point for Flixation in the company?
Sure. I actually had a conversation with an entrepreneur yesterday about pricing, and she was struggling to figure out where in the market she wants to sit. And
it's a common one. Trust me, it is a common one.
It's something I think a lot about. And I think there's a couple ways to do it. So, you could do it based on cost basis, which Flixation's pricing model is based on a cost-based model. Just because of the nature of our business, right? We're a pure volume business. We want to do more editing hours than we did yesterday.
For sure.
So, we're not necessarily going after the high ticket things here. We're just, we're an effective solution to edit your videos. I think there's like also interesting space at the high end of the market, right? Where you're going after high end videos. We actually own a separate video production company called Viral Ideas that strictly does high end videos for companies. So that particular company is priced on the high end of the market. And then we have, I think the bottom end, when you think about the market, you think about the bottom end of the market. That's a tough place to be these days with the technology, and basically the world is flat. So you can get labor pretty much anywhere in the world.
For sure.
So I think you just have to, whatever price tier you're at, you're sending a signal to the market about where you are in that market. And you're going to attract customers in a lot of ways to that price, right? You think conventional wisdom will tell you that all businesses want something cheaper, but to be frank with you, they don't always want something cheaper. So I recently listened to a great interview with the Whole Foods founder, and he was talking about, the guy that was interviewing, you mentioned to him, he said there's a joke running around that when you go to Whole Foods, you spend your whole paycheck. And the guy chuckled. He's like, yeah, we used to kind of be in a way proud of that. Like, we take a lot of pride in the quality of our ingredients.
For sure.
Our food is better, so you pay more for it. So I think when you're thinking about pricing, think about where you want to be and back into that and come up with your number from there.
So, I love the name of your company because, you instantly get an idea of what, your company does. If somebody would come to your service, like, what do you do? And you say Flixation, you automatically think of like videos and stuff like that. And I also love your logo as well. How did you come up with the idea or the concept for Flixation? Like, what made you think of that logo? What made you think of that name? How did you come up with that?
It's actually, it's a short but long story. So okay. I'll be brief here. So my business partner, Zach, started an app called Flixation a few years back. It basically did short video clips for restaurants. Never really took off. We went on to start Viral Ideas. Viral's been around for 2 years or 3 years now. And about 2 years in, we realized that we needed an effective way to do editing for ourselves. So we built out a whole system and process and mechanics and team to execute editing on behalf of Viral Ideas. And we started to get amazing feedback from our clients saying, like, wow, this is like incredible. I can't believe you guys can edit this quickly. Can't believe it's this good. So they started sending us all the stuff that they would do in-house to edit, and it would flip really quickly. 5 days. That 5 day turnaround was kind of there from the beginning.
Okay.
So we're like, why don't we spin this out and see if this has legs as a standalone idea. So we spun Flixation out of Viral Ideas, our original company, and it instantly hit. So kind of, I mean, not instant success as in a blow up, but customers that use it have loved it. So we've really just kind of built it out of this kind of seed of an idea within a company, and built it from there.
Gotcha. Appreciate you sharing that for sure. Let me ask you this, man. What's the best and worst piece of advice you've gotten since you started, Flixation? The
best advice that I've gotten is from one of our mentors is just look at the time it takes to actually build a real company and stay patient with that. Like he's always talking about how if you really look at some of these companies that you admire, how long it took them to get to the point where they are at today. So that's kind of the best point, and it sounds cliche, but he's just like, be patient with it, let it happen.
Oh, for sure.
It'll happen.
Sometimes we need to be reminded of that, so I appreciate you sharing that.
The worst, to be frank, most advice I think that is not specific in nature from people looking at your business is bad advice, because they don't know what's going on. So if you really want to get advice from someone, my advice would be find someone who's a specific subject matter expert in that specific thing, like how to structure. Like we recently just structured like a profit sharing plan for some of our employees. I spoke to like 10 people who have structured profit sharing plans specifically about that, and they gave me great advice on that. So where if I just kind of ask people in general, I don't think it's generally good advice. So just watch where you're getting your advice from. Make sure it's someone that has been there before with your specific need. Make sure that what your questions are specific and contextual to what you're doing, so that way they can give you the best possible advice.
For sure. Well, I'm glad you mentioned your mentors. We just wanted to know, who are your mentors?
Oh, I've had so many over the years, and I'm honestly grateful and blessed for all of them. But I've had Tejas, who runs Optim Output, the BPR, is a great software company. Wayne Huddis, who was one of my friend's dads growing up. This guy from high school who kind of mentored me on more of a personal level, Jack Heater.
For sure.
Just so many guys kind of that have helped me out along the way, and women as well that have kind of, in Philly we say guys to say women and men, and I always forget that. So many people have just really helped me out over the years with so many different things. So I think it's really important for entrepreneurs to just have some sort of sounding board. We've also had like a whole board for viral ideas. Like when we first started out, there was this group of guys that were getting their MBA, and they just kind of helped us with a business plan. So
nice.
And they wrote this whole thing for us for free. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, those business plans don't come cheap all the time. So no, that is awesome for sure. Let me ask you this, man. So when it comes to Flixation and video editing, why should somebody go with you as opposed to your competitor?
It's a good question. Consistency. So our big thing is we do things when we're going to say them and how you want them. And, Flixation, definitely not the cheapest way to go in the market, but it's definitely a fair price for what you get. And, our promises are our promises. And it's something that the majority of people, when they're editing a video, they need those promises, whether they know it or not. Like if they haven't gone into the process of editing a video, the things we have listed on our website, are something that we hold true. And it's something that if you haven't done a video before, whether you need it or not, you need it. So, I think that's what sets us apart.
I believe, Dave, all entrepreneurs have a superpower. What's yours and why?
I think mine, in a lot of ways, is endurance and patience. I've been a long distance runner my whole life. So I ran my first marathon when I was 16 years old, and have kind of just been always fascinated with endurance sports. And I think it analogizes well to running a business. If analogizes is a word, I'm not sure I could have made that up.
Hey, we're gonna make it a word today.
The word right now. So you said I was allowed to curse, but I didn't hear anything about making up words. So I'm
fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, I think running a business, generate revenue to start out, and just to do all the things you need to do, you need to look at it as a very long-term thing. And running a marathon takes a while too, and training for one takes a while. So I think if there's anything, just my ability to endure long periods of stuff.
All right, man. So before we wrap up today, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming on the Startup Life powered by the Binge Podcast Network. We really do appreciate that. Any final advice, any final thoughts you want to leave Startup Nation, new entrepreneurs, any final takes you want to give them? Yeah.
I would say if you're thinking about doing something, just the old Nike adage, just do it. Like, this is the permission you need. You're watching the show, you're listening to stuff. If you haven't done it yet, just go for it. To start something small, do something that can generate you and your family some extra revenue, and whatever it is you're doing, give it an old try, because you don't want to look back and say, I could have done this. You want to look back and say, I'm really happy I tried. So give it a shot if you haven't gone for it yet.
Awesome. So that's gonna wrap up this session of the Startup Life. Did you enjoy coming on, David?
Oh, I had a great time, and for your audience, if they'd like, we can give them a code for 2 free hours with the Startup Life discount code. So I'll make one up for you and send it for the show notes.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So you heard it here first. There's a coupon for you, Startup Life. If you need some video editing from Flixation, look in the show notes and you see that coupon code. I would say Startup Life. You're gonna make it.
Yeah, well, that sounds good, right? Should we do Startup Life?
Yeah, let's do it that way. It makes it easy.
All right, so we'll give you guys 2 free hours with your first purchase. So if you guys are thinking about video, we'll give you guys a little something.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, man. We really appreciate it. All right, Startup Nation. So here's my final take. When it comes to David's story and his path to entrepreneurship and how he runs Flixation, there's only one thing that really comes to mind, and you've heard it throughout the entire theme of this show, and that's customer experience. When you get the customer experience right, you not only build a loyal customer, but you build a loyal culture around your company. When we think about the Apples or the Amazons of the world, They do well because they have an entire subculture, if you will, surrounding those products. And with that being said, I see nothing but great things happening for David, Zach, and Flixation's future. If you want to let us know what you think about the show, have an idea for a show topic, or would like to advertise on our show, send us a message on the Startup Life Podcast Facebook page. And while you are there, like and follow our page as well. It's a new way for us to engage with you, Startup Nation, and really grow our community. The link is here in the show notes. Subscribe to the show, as it can now be heard on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you find our content valuable, please give us a 5-star rating, as it will help us climb the charts and help more people find our show. And hey, if you have an idea, be about that life, the Startup Life.